As the 17th Shetland Light Dragoons prepare to do battle with the Orks, they've arrayed themselves in 2 battalion detachments, led by this tank commander. His command trait, Master of Command, allows him to give 1 additional order per turn. He's supported by a company commander with a power sword and plasma pistol, a Tempestor Prime with a rod of command, a commissar with a power sword, and a primary psyker. He knows both Night Shroud and Psychic Barrier, in addition to Smite. It is an armored formation using the Talon Doctrine. So we have 2 stock Lehman-Druce tanks, both with heavy bolters, and 1 Punisher with 3 heavy bolters, and 1 Executioner with the plasma gun on top, 2 plasma cannons, and a heavy bolter. There's also 1, 2, 3 chimeras, all with multi-lasers and heavy bolters. For troops, we have 3 light infantry squads, each one led by a sergeant with a chainsword. Each has a boxcaster and a flamer. The 3 other troop choices are 7-man squads of Tempestor Scions. No special weapons, but each of the sergeants does have a power sword. This is my tactical reserve in order to meet any emerging threats and to slow down the Orks as they charge towards my tanks. Lastly, in fast attack, we have 3 armored sentinels. 2 are armed with autocannons, and 1 is armed with a missile launcher. Altogether, 10 command points for this group of brave warriors. So Jeremy's new to the channel, and today he's brought us Orks to face off against the 17th Shetland Light Dragoons. Jeremy, why don't you take us through your army?
All right, we're bringing a brigade detachment of Orks today. 3 head course. We have a Ork Warboss with attack squid, combi rocket, and power claw. Next to him is a weird boy, and then next to him is Boss Necrot. For troops, for the brigade, we have 6 troop choices. It is 4 squads of 25 Orks, 2 of them with shooters, 2 of them slugger choppers. All 4 squads have a knob with a big chopper and 2 big shooters. And then we have 2 units of 11 grots. For fast attack, I brought 2 lone death copters and 15 storm boys with a knob with a power claw. For elites, I have 2 lone runt herds and a unit of 10 commandos with 2 burners and a knob with a power claw. And our heavy support choice, we have 1 squad of 11 looters. They'll be riding in a truck, and 2 lone killer cans, both of them with Grotzukas. And that is 1,850 points.
Okay, so brigade detachment gives you a total of 12 command points, and about how many models are we looking at here?
168 models.
That's going to be a lot of models for my guard to kill, but we're going to give it a try. So we'll be back with the mission and deployment after this.
What is the location?
Alright, today's mission is the Scouring. So there are 6 objectives placed around the board. We have 1, 4, 6, 2, 3, and back behind this Land Raider is number 5. The deployment style is Dawn of War. Now, the Astra Militarum have come in here to do what the Space Marines were unable to do, and that's to take back this abandoned Imperial facility. So these bastions you see here are impassable terrain. The guardsmen forgot to bring the keys, and that's going to be counted as ruins until we get that repaired. And we got some line of sight blocking terrain. The War Corgi chapter of Space Marines unable to take this back from the Orks. So here come the Imperial Guard. As far as my deployment, Dawn of War, I finished dropping mine first. On the left, I have the Commissar squad in a Chimera, and there's a Sentinel with the missile launcher, my Warlord, and 2 tanks, including the Executioner, another Sentinel moving to the right. The Punisher is anchoring my center with 2 units of Chimeras. On the left is the primary Psyker with the squad. On the right is the company commander with his squad. A Lehman-Druce battle tank back here, and then a Sentinel on the right. So Jeremy, what do you got?
All right, starting with your left. I have 25 Slugger Chopper Boys, my War Boss, Runt Herd, and 11 Grots hiding out in the woods next to Objective 2, a truck with 11 looters in it, a Killer Can hiding behind this Land Raider, 25 Shooter Boys on the bridge, 25 Slugger Chopper Boys right next to them, Weird Boy standing behind them, a Killer Can right next to them, then a squad of 25 Shooter Boys, half in the woods, hiding out, a Runt Herd hiding behind this tree, and he's going to be keeping these Grots over here on Objective 5 in line the entire game.
Okay, in reserve, you got a number of units.
Yes, in reserves I have Boss Snickrot, the 10 Commandos, 2 Death Copters, and 15 Storm Boys.
All right, and in my reserves, I got my 3 units of Scions and my Tempester Prime. So, we next for the Scouring, we need to determine what's the superior and inferior objectives. Jeremy's going to roll a dice here for the superior. Come on, 6. 1. 1's right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Well done. And then the inferior is 2.
Right here.
So that one's worth 1 point. This one's worth 4 points. And all the other ones are worth 2 points, I believe. So, with that, we need to roll off to see who goes first. I'll get a +1 to my roll. See who goes first. That's a 6. You're not beating that.
Yep.
Would you care to steal initiative? There you go.
There I go.
All right, you gotta do something epic. All right, that was more epic than I thought. Okay, so the Orks are going first, and that's like 4 games in a row people have stolen the initiative in this house. Maybe 6, I don't know. It's getting crazy. All right, we'll be back with Ork Movement coming up next.
All right, during the movement phase, 25 Slugger Chopper Boys and the War Boss advanced forward. At the end of the movement phase, we had 10 Commandos and Boss Snickrot drop in right there. We had 15 Storm Boys drop in right in front of that Sentinel. The Killer Can advanced behind that Land Raider trying to get some cover. Looters and Grots stayed still. Both of these squads of 25 boys stayed still, with the Weird Boy shifting over slightly. Then we had this Killer Can and these 25 Shooter Boys advance forward, and these Grots and Runt Herds stay still. And over here on the left flank, we had 2 Death Copters come in to face off against Sentinel and maybe some Chimeras.
All right, so next up, Ork Psychic phase. You gonna do some psychic powers?
I'm gonna try.
All right, here we go. All right, Ork Psychic phase.
Ork Psychic phase was short and sweet. This Weird Boy just channeled the power of the Wah and cast a dead jump and moved these 25 boys a little bit closer to the front lines.
So really pressing in on the Imperial Guard. Let's see what you can do in your shooting phase. It's going to be tough, but it's a start.
All right, on the right-hand side, all these units shot at the Chimera, did nothing. These big shooters managed to take 1 whole point off of the Sentinel. War Boss missed epically with his combi rocket. The Looters, they managed to take, was it 2?
2 points of damage. So hit and wounded 3 times. I used a stratagem from the Guard Codex called Take Cover to increase my save by 1, but to no avail as one of them slipped through.
All right, so they managed to take a couple wounds off of the Punisher cannon. Storm Boys shot pistols pretty aimlessly in front of them at that Sentinel and didn't do anything. These boys here, they used their big shooter to also try to take out that Punisher cannon over there. And they managed to take off
another wound. Altogether in the phase, it was 4 wounds.
4 wounds between quite a few big shooters. Then the big shooter from the Looters truck also shot at the Vanquisher cannon. The big shooters from this squad also shot at it.
The Punisher, yeah.
Or Punisher, correct. This unit here shot at the Punisher cannon. We don't like it. And the only other shooting we had was over here. These 2 Death Copters that came in off the flank managed to take 3 wounds off of that Sentinel.
You did use one command point to try to reroll a wound to no avail, but you still got 11 left, so pretty healthy, Jeremy. And just to be clear, that Punisher is now sitting at 8 wounds, so definitely did a little bit more than scratch the paint on that particular tank. Alright, so next up is the assault phase, and it's to turn 1, but this could be decisive.
Okay, in the assault phase, Boss Nickrot and these commandos, they moved up and assaulted the Chimera that used to be here. Boss Nickrot knocked off a couple wounds, and the Knob with the Power Claw finished it off. But he must have hit the fuel tank because it then exploded, dealing 3 mortal wounds to everyone around it. So knocked Nickrot down to 3, took out a couple boys, and the squad, when they hopped out, they also lost 3 guardsmen. Moving over here, we had these Storm Boys. They charged into the Sentinel, and then as they pushed forward, they pulled this Leman Russ into the fight as well. They took 1 wound off of the Sentinel, and the Sentinel killed 1 Storm Boy in return.
Yep, that's a fair trade for me.
I just passed the red squad here. They attempted to charge, lost a boy in shooting to the Sentinel, and then failed their charge range. And then these 2 Death Copters, they both made it in, and everyone whiffed. No one managed to hurt anyone in this combat. But overall, here we go. Got quite a few of the units into assault.
Yeah, we were talking. I think he did what you needed to do in turn 1 as far as really pushing in the guard line. You took the Executioner Cannon off the Plasma Leman Russ out of the first round, so not bad. We'll see how the guard can respond. We do have 1 leadership test that I need to make. It will be off the Commissar's leadership of 8, so anything but a 6 will be okay. That's a 1, so the Commissar has kept them in line, and we will be back with guard turn 1, where we begin our counterattack.
Soldier, citadel.
Alright, guard turn 1 movement, starting with this squad who just got blown out of their Chimera. They went ahead and advanced 4 inches in addition to their 6-inch move. They're now positioned between the Storm Boys and the Sneaky Orks. While that right there has moved backwards from that unit. It was not engaged before, so it can still shoot. This one was engaged, can't shoot. Punched over this Leman Russ Vanquisher 5 inches, moved him 10 inches out of combat, and then moved him over 5 inches. That's half movement, which means they're going to get 2 times the shots that they normally get. This Punisher moved over 5 inches, while this Chimera disgorged the squad. They were motivated, and when they advanced, they went an additional 6 inches, gotten right in the face of those Orks right there. This Chimera remained put, but disgorged this squad over to look at the Death Copters, while this Leman Russ moved up 5 inches. This Sentinel moved back 8 inches out of combat, and then I used this landing zone right there, 9 inches away from everything, to bring in all 3 squads of Scions to see if we can't do some damage. So with that, we'll go to the Psychic phase for the Guard. Guard Psychic phase, the primary Psyker reached back here and cast Night Shroud on the Punisher. So he is now -1 to hit. Well, Jeremy's -1 to hit, you shooting me. He's still good hitting on 4s. So next up, orders. Starting on my right flank, the Tempestor Prime gave Elimination Protocol sanction to this squad right there, and to that squad right there. He managed to roll over 4 on his Laurels of Command, so was able to issue this squad a second order, which was first rank fire, second rank fire. They, combined with this squad right here, which was given first rank fire, second rank fire, managed to do in both of these Death Coptas, and we have a pretty strong position here on the right now. That was aided by this squad used a stratagem called Grenadiers for 1 command point, and threw 9 grenades and then used a flamer. The 9 grenades, I rolled a total of 37 shots with them. And they had the orders to reroll 1s to hit, so in the end, did a total of 13 KIA to those Orks right there. They were supported by that Chimera right there, and that Chimera right there. This Punisher took a bite out of these Orks, as you can see. Did quite a bit of damage. It was helped out by some other units. Unfortunately, That one only took 1. I rolled a 2 and a 1 to see how many shots the battle cannon had. Used command die to reroll a 1 and got another 1. But this Leman Russ here, combined with that squad right there, and 1 Sentinel, managed to take out all but 3 of the Storm Boys. Unfortunately, that means that squad was left unmolested, but I think it was worth it as the 17th Shetland Light Dragoons make their way to the right to the objectives that matter. Last up was the Vanquisher, the tank commander, fired his Vanquisher cannon all the way down there to the truck, hit twice, wounded twice. At -3 there was no save, rolled a 6 and a 5 for damage. That was 2d6 and take the highest. Ramshackle rule did not kick in on the 6+, so destroyed that, and one of the Ludas was killed getting out. It did explode and took with it 2 grots. So overall, very productive turn of shooting. What do you think, Jeremy?
I think it's pretty devastating.
Yeah.
We'll shoot twice with the main cannons on the Leman Russ is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I should mention, with my Talon orders, I managed to move those, this tank right here, 10 inches out of combat, and then an additional 6 inches due to the order. And this one moved 5 inches and then an additional 6 inches as we tried to kind of castle up over here on the right and push the flank towards the left. Overall, that's what we got. So we're going to see if I want to do any assaults and be right back. So turn 1 guard in phase for morale. It's almost an extension of my shooting phase. It's like shooting
Really
phase
is.
part 2. So go ahead and start on your left or right with what you did, Jeremy.
Okay, I had to use 2 command points to make sure that the guys near the big objective stayed in it. I don't want those guys running away. So what that meant is I didn't have command points to save these guys from running right down to the knob. I think 7 of them ran away.
Yeah, you rolled a 1, and now we just got 1 angry knob with a gigantic axe, which I think is awesome.
Then Storm Boys had no way of passing their morale. They ran away, didn't even need to roll dice, they were just gone. And the Grots, being the cowards they are, 2 of them buggered off when the truck exploded.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. You thought about maybe using a command point to reroll the explosion, but we know that's the objective that's worth 1, and you know now that I don't have any plans to try to take it. So I think probably a smart move. Those Grots will probably just sit there for the rest of the game and get that 1 point as we fight over the rest of them. So we'll be back with Ork Turn 2.
All right, end of the Ork movement phase. These boys just stayed on the bridge. Weird Boy moved over towards them. We have the Ludas, they still stayed still. Runherd just moved up into the woods to get close to those Grots he's trying to wrangle. Warboss just moved up. These 25 boys advanced. Over here, the Commandos and Boss Nikrot, they're moving in on those Imperial Guard and that Commissar. The Lone Knob thought it'd be fun to go after a tank by himself, so he moved forward. This Killican moved a little up and over. This Killican stayed still so we can fire at full ballistic skill. These boys started to shuffle over to get rid of these Imperial Guard that came on their flank. And these Grots cowardly hid behind this tank here.
I was going to say, it looks like they're kind of looking for some cover.
Yeah, they're hiding a little. They're scared.
It's hard to find an 8th edition, but they're doing their best. All right, next up, the Ork Psychic phase.
All right, during the Ork Psychic phase, Weird Boy casted a jump on the unit shooter boys that was on the bridge. He managed to peril. I used the command point to attempt to prevent that, and I did not, rolling 6s all day. And I did something very similar for the wounds he took on his peril. He took 3 wounds. He's down to 1. But he did manage to get these boys over here on our left flank. So we're going to try to box in all these elite Imperial Guard that jumped in on our flank.
Yeah, this is definitely where the fight's happening, over on this side. So that was probably a great move. We'll see how it turns out.
Okay, Ork shooting phase. The Ludas managed to take 2 whole points off of the commander's tank back there.
Did use a stratagem, take cover in order to increase the save by 1 to give them a 2-up.
We had these commandos with their flamethrowers and pistols. They managed to take out Three?
Two guardsmen.
Two guardsmen. And then Boss Snickrat was a little bit closer to the commissar. He threw a grenade over there and managed to take a wound off of that commissar. This lone knob threw a grenade at that Lehman Russ, but didn't do anything. These two killer cans shot at the guard squad in the middle. They took out 4 guardsmen. And then this blue squad of shooter boys, they managed to kill 4 men off of this squad. And this squad over here that just jumped over here, they shot at the squad in the back, also killing 4 people. That's pretty much everything that happened in the orc shooting phase.
You know, over on your left side, it was a pretty impressive display of orc firepower. Killed a lot more than I thought they would. So, on to the assault phase.
All right, this squad that assaulted into these 2 separate squads, we took 1 guardsman off the squad to the left and 4 off the squad to the right. And in return, they managed to kill 2 orcs.
Yep, Tempester got 1. The prime, I should say.
Over here, my killer can whiffed, but the guardsmen actually managed to take 1 wound off of the killer can.
This brave knob right here, you want to talk about that?
Yes, he dutifully tried to charge into that executioner, and he got executed quite handily.
I used the stratagem defensive gunners. I know it was an overkill against 1 orc, but I did not want that 1 orc tying up a executioner for an entire turn, so that was allowing me to hit on 5s and 6s instead of just 5. So last one.
And then Snickrat, he managed to handle the commissar and then consolidate over to that sentinel. And the commandos, they lost 2 in Overwatch, but they managed to go in and wipe out the squad that popped out of that chimera earlier. They consolidated towards that sentinel, but couldn't quite wrap it up into combat.
Yep, so with that Overwatch, I rolled a 1 on the Flamer, decided to use command point, and I rolled a 2 after that for a 100% increase. I managed to take 1 guy out there.
And I will say, no one will believe this, but
Nope.
for Snickrat's 6 to hit rolls, I rolled 6 1s. But he allows a re-rolling of 1s to hit in the fight phase for commandos, so he re-rolled all of them, converted them all into hits.
The statistical improbability of that is just astounding, but it happened. Okay, so we'll do morale phase and then come back after that. For the end phase for the orcs, all the leadership was on my side. This squad right here, who had lost 4, rolled a 5, so ended up losing an additional 2 guys after that. This lone sergeant had 2 of his guys run away after he rolled a 5 as well. I used to the last man stratagem for 1 command point on these guys. That allowed me to roll a D3 instead of a D6. I rolled a 2. So they are still in the fight, despite having some pretty good losses last time. But these guys decide to leave, so that just leaves my Tempester Prime at this point, and that Sergeant in combat. So we'll be back with the Imperial Guard, turn 2. So this is a combined movement and psychic phase for the Imperial Guard. Kept that particular guy in combat for right now, while I moved this guy back 8 inches. He was not stuck in combat, so he's going to be good to shoot. My tank commander moved the full 10 inches, while these 2 tanks moved 5 inches. I got a number of targets for my plasma executioner, which I'm pretty happy about. This Punisher moved up in order to take care of that if needed. He also has line of sight to that killer can. This Chimera stayed in place. This Lehman Roost moved 5 inches to the right, and I moved this Sentinel 8 inches up. These guys advanced to move a total of 9 inches, while the Scions moved out of combat. Lastly, moved these guys out of combat with the Grot, and then punched my Chimera up there a little bit to start getting some shots. Now the Psyker did cast Smite. Closest target was the kill can. I went off with a 5, then he did 3 mortal wounds to it, leaving it with 1. So, we go on to the Imperial Guard shooting phase. Guard turn 2 shooting phase, and we managed to eliminate this squad here, thanks in no small part to the Tempester Prime. Telling these guys right there to get back in the fight, then rolling a 4 up in order to give them a second order, which was first rank fire, second rank fire, so we lashed them pretty good. And then this squad, ordered by the commander to first rank fire, second rank fire as well, finished him off, which allowed both the Sentinel and that Leman Russ to fire at this target down here in killing 4 of them. It was all the Leman Russ, to be honest. Over here, the squad was given the order from here, 18 inches with boxcasters, to get back in the fight, and they managed to destroy that. It was down to 1 wound, allowing this Chimera to go ahead and shoot in those grots, and did 3 wounds to them. That opened up this Punisher to shoot at the killer can that was over there, and with the 49 shots managed to bring it down just, which allowed this Plasma Cutioner to go ahead and shoot at that squad over there, overcharge the top, so I did take a wound, but I did kill 4 boys in the process, so pretty good there. That allowed this Leman Russ over here to go ahead and fire into this squad and essentially kill them, and then lastly was managed to do 1 wound with that Sentinel. So, you owe me some morale test. Jeremy, where would you like to start?
We'll start with the grots.
Okay.
Leadership of 4, lost 3, so need a 1. A 6 is the opposite, so Squighound is going to just chomp D3 of them, and then they pass. So he's going to chomp 3.
Okay.
And they pass.
Okay.
All right. This squad cannot fail because there's more than 10 boys, so they're even on a 6 they couldn't fail. And same with this squad over here, can't fail.
Okay, so at the end of turn 2, another effective shooting turn for Guard. Quickly running out of combat power on the other side. Well, it doesn't look like there's a whole bunch of models left on the board for Guard either. They're all, most of them are toughness 7 or toughness 8 with a lot of firepower. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but we'll see what the Orks can come back with in turn 3.
All right, this is Ork turn 3. Movement, we just tried to wrap this squad around. I burned a command point to try to lengthen their advance and rolled worse. So they were kind of stuck there. Also in movement, I moved my grots even further behind this cover while moving my runt herd up to go after that Chimera. And I moved this squad, the black squad, I moved them forwards. Psychic phase, I cast Smite and took about two wounds off of the Chimera.
Yep.
And then on to shooting phase. My Orks over here to the left, they took out the 3 remaining guardsmen that were in that crater.
Yeah, those are my Scions. No longer. Pretty good shooting from the Orks. Lots of hits.
Also in the shooting phase, my Ludas managed to take 2 wounds off of the Chimera.
Once again, took cover for 1 command point to improve the save up to a 2-up.
And no one else's shooting did any damage.
No.
Then on to the assault phase. Boss Snickrot managed to finish off that Sentinel. He consolidated into some cover. And also in the assault phase, my run herd tied up the Chimera. Didn't do any damage, but I didn't think he would. And then these boys over here, they made a 10-inch charge into his captain?
He's a Tempester Prime.
Tempester Prime. And brought him down to 1 wound, but was not able to kill him. In return, he swung back, but he didn't manage to deal any wounds.
Yeah, we're talking, that's probably the best result you can get, because now I can't shoot them dead like I'd like him to. So they're going to live at least another round. Okay, but pretty productive round. Still an uphill battle for the Orks, but we'll see if they can continue to struggle to stay in the game. On to Imperial Guard turn 3.
Lancaster Boulevard.
Imperial Guard turn 3, pretty effective. Over on the right, wasn't able to shoot into there or get my Tempester Prime out because he was surrounded, but I did charge the Sentinel in and the lone Tempestus Scion Sergeant, all for naught because the Orks brought them down. This squad has moved back using advance, and then the officer ordered them to move, so they got to move back quite a bit. It might not be enough to hold off the Orks, we'll have to see. Leman Russ stayed put, while I shuffled these around a bit. Matter of fact, the tank commander moved in advance in order to get right in between them, so he was able to give tank orders to both of those to reroll 1s, and that was pretty important. I'll see why in a second. This Chimera punched up while this Psyker did 2 wounds, smiting the Reinharter, and then the Chimera finished him off as he moved up, hitting on 4s as we do with the Towering Doctrine. The squad that was back here jumped in that Rhino, and that Rhino moved. It's 10 inches to contest objective 3 now. And also look at the Weird Boy. While these 2 tanks over here killed all of those guys. It was a pretty epic shooting display from the Imperial Guard, as they are wont to do from time to time. This Sentinel fired 2 shots at the sneaky guy. What's his name?
Boss Nick.
Boss Nickrat. He had a 4-up save because he's in cover and he's super sneaky. Jeremy rolled and failed, but he used a command point in order to re-roll it, and then he passed. I think you're down to 3 command points, Jeremy?
Yes.
I am down to 0 because that sergeant over there, after all the orcs hit him, passed 3 of his 4 armor saves. I thought if I could keep him alive, it would be good, but wasn't able to convert on that 4+ save. So over here, Jeremy, your leadership like minus 14 or 20 or something.
I am now down to 2 command points as he's going to auto pass.
Is that for 1 or 2?
1.
Okay.
Taking away 2, down to 1 command point. So
once again, we see a knob with a big axe come to play. All right. So Imperial Guard is done for turn 3. We move on to Orks turn 4.
Okay, Orc movement phase. War Boss moved up and advanced. The knob that was a lone knob standing in the water, he moved up so he could attempt to assault that Sentinel. And Boss Snickrot moved up as well. Over here to the Ludas, they did not move. They took some shots over here at this Chimera and got it down to 2 wounds, but in the psychic phase, my Weird Boy failed to cast Smite, rolled 2 1s, used my last command point to re-roll. Still didn't cast, but at least I didn't perils and kill him.
So close.
These Grots stayed still.
Yeah, they're being sneaky.
And these guys moved up. We, in the shooting phase, killed all 10 of the guardsmen that were standing in front of this Lehman Roos. Then we assaulted the captain and the tank, killed the captain, and did not do any damage to the tank. We lost 1 man to Overwatch, and the tank actually killed 2 in close combat.
Yeah. Just a reminder that Captain is not my Warlord. 1-1 right there is my Warlord. So that at least is safe for now.
And then also in the assault phase, Sentinel killed that lone knob with Overwatch. Also, the Sentinel then took 2 damage from Snickrot, and the Sentinel dealt 1 damage back to him. And that was it for Orc turn 4.
Okay, well, let's go Guard turn 4. Maybe clean this up a little bit and ensure our victory is in the bag.
Launcher, visibility.
Astra Militarum turn 4. It was pretty darn good. I shuffled these tanks around a little bit in here with my command tank staying in the middle. This tank withdrew from that formerly very big squad. That's why his turrets faced the rear so he couldn't shoot. I punched this Chimera up a little bit, and those guys jumped out of that Chimera. I would have stayed in there, but their ballistic skill is 6+ because of the 2 wounds remaining on that Chimera. And this Executioner made sure the Warlord was the closest model to him by moving up a little bit. And he stayed in combat. Psychic phase, the Psyker managed to manifest Smite. I think he did 3 mortal wounds.
He did.
So he's done good. He's one of 5 infantry models remaining. Tank orders were then issued. Reroll 1s to hit. Reroll 1s to hit. The Punisher killed all these guys, except for 1 who was going to fail morale. And the Executioner, just with this top cannon, managed to kill the Warlord doing 6 wounds, no saves allowed. He did overcharge and take another wound, but he's down to 10, so that's not bad. While this guy, this Lehman Roos, shot clear across the table. The 72 inch range on the battle cannon's really impressive, and did 2 more Ludas in. And that left this assault over here. Snickrot, who It's been a star so far. Failed to kill the Sentinel, did 2 wounds, but I passed both saves. So with that, Jeremy, I think it's looking pretty bleak for your orcs.
I think I'm going to call it. Warboss is dead, all the other orcs are running off.
That's a good call. Okay, so great game. Very much enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Welcome to the channel. We're going to do a little chat after this, and hopefully you've enjoyed this game, and stay with us for the after-game post-wrap-up. Okay, another report done for the War Corgi YouTube channel, and featured the new Astra Militarum again. Jeremy, number one, welcome to the channel. It was a pleasure to have you play today.
Oh, thank you for having me on the channel.
And welcome back anytime. See if we can get you some games and get some of the other players.
Yeah.
You brought orcs. Tell us about your history with orcs.
So orcs generally, I try to run a large horde, so the brigade detachment sounded like it'd be good. Didn't have much to take out tanks, and as you all just saw, there was a lot of tanks to take out. So it went about as well as I expected. I knew that the new Astra Militarum Codex was strong, and today just got to see how strong it was.
Well, that was the open question after my game with Simon's Necrons. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, I handled that pretty well. He was questioning whether or not I could handle hordes as well, and I think the answer to that is yes. Combination of the infantry do a pretty good job, but really that Punisher and the Executioner, along with the Luminary's battle cannons, can really thin out some squads pretty quick order.
Yes, definitely. Now with the main turret firing twice, it's something to avoid.
And one thing I like about the Talon, as I've stated before, is they're incredibly mobile. You put a lot of pressure on the right flank. You got a little bit unlucky when we rolled for objectives. Over by your war boss was the objective worth 1 point. As soon as I saw that and I saw how much pressure you were putting on my left flank, I decided to hightail it out of there. And being able to move 5 inches, shoot twice, and then with my Talon order be able to move an additional 6 inches, I had just enough screen over on the left flank to hold you up for a turn. That was enough to give me the time and space I needed to reset and start killing.
Definitely. Getting your tanks out of the way, screening everybody. You made sure that your tanks had good lines of fire, and they were able to shoot.
Yeah.
And they did.
It's hard to hide that many orcs on the board, I will say. It was a pretty good board. Appreciate you bringing it over the mat, and I thought we had a decent amount of train on there.
Yeah.
But when you have that many boys, it is certainly tough to get them all in cover.
Yeah, there's always going to be a target.
Yep, absolutely. Other things that I learned today, I went with a different tank commander warlord trait, as you saw. The ability to give a second order, very useful. It's really situational for me. One of the things Jeremy has is a Stampa. We talked, if he would have brought that, then it would have gone back to old grudges, so I was re-rolling wounds there. It might have been a different game there, but it would still be a tough slog for the orcs, even with a Stampa on the board.
Definitely.
Other than that, with that tank commander, once that Vanquisher managed to destroy the one truck with all your Ludas in it, it really didn't have a job other than to run around and make sure everyone else was re-rolling their ones to hit. And did a really good job of that. So I wasn't worried about shooting the Vanquisher to kill 3 orcs. I was worried about making sure I was killing a bunch of orcs through tank orders. And so that really freed me up. And then lastly, second game in a row where I took the relic for my Tempestor Prime, the Laurels of Command. It keeps coming in handy. Getting that second order off.
I think it worked every time.
Well,
maybe once.
Yeah.
One time it did not.
So I tried to give it to 2
deal.
squads both times, and each time I got 1 squad to get it.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about, first rank fire, second rank fire to double your shots, and then you're rerolling ones to wound, or in the case of your choppers, rerolling all wounds was very useful, and then breaking out of combat and then still being able to first rank fire, second rank fire. It's a really good relic. I know a lot of people like the one that you get command points back on, but when you start with, stop it you two, when you start with 12 command points like you do with my brigade, I used a lot of stratagems. Take cover, obviously, one of my favorites.
Yes.
But still, I wasn't stressed on command points. I was out of them by turn 4, but by that time, I'd done everything that I needed to do.
It was wrapped up by that time.
Yep, so I think that was smart. Your MVP?
It's Snickrot. He came in and just managed to not die, which is more than I can say for most everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. I think my MVP was probably my Punisher. You did some damage to it that first round. I was getting a little nervous, but you couldn't come back to it because there was too many other threats, and then he made you pay the price.
Yeah, I was scared of the Punisher. I knew what it was about to do, and it did it.
Yeah, we talked. You know, against Space Marines, maybe not as scary with that 3-up save or 2-up save and cover.
Right.
But Orks, which have that 6-up save, and you know, even in best case scenario, 5-up save and cover, you're killing a lot of Orks just by doing a lot of damage.
Yes.
Okay, anything else that you'd like to add?
No, that's it. Just thanks for having me on the channel.
Anytime. Hope you enjoyed the battle report. If you did, go ahead and give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe because we got lots more battle reports coming your way. Till next time. Bye-bye.